Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
Here's the thing. We always talk about alpha liberals like you, and that, we don't have to, I disagree. We don't have to lie or cheat or spread hate or fear like Republicans do, because then we're them. But we do have to learn how to fight differently, I think. So, Joe Biden, obviously just clearly one of the nicest men in the world. He's an institutionalist, but I've heard people talk about he should issue preemptive pardons so that, for instance, the J6 committee, our friend Adam Schiff, who you just sat with 2 weeks ago out here on our panel, Liz Cheney. I mean, whatever if he could do FBI background checks on Trump's nominees now, that it's the safety and security of the American people. Do you feel like President Biden will do any of that? I mean, he's probably not going to pardon his son, but it just, I just
this is a tough box for people to be in, Steph, because the Supreme Court said a pardon carries with it an imputation of guilt, and accepting a pardon is some confession of guilt.
Right.
If people know they did nothing wrong, they're between a rock and a hard place. Do I accept the pardon, which the Supreme Court says makes me look guilty and is some confession of guilt that I did something wrong? Or do I stand on the fact that I did nothing wrong and suffer baseless investigations, vindictive prosecutions against me, knowing I should never be convicted because there's no evidence of crime? That's a tough place to be in. I don't think I would accept the pardon. I don't think
so. They'll try to bankrupt people instead.
So you know what? You want to vindictively come after me? Give it your best shot.
Yeah. You're going to call them.
That's where a lot of people will fall out.
You're going to call them sport, aren't you?
I am going to call them sport. Yeah.
Give you your best shot sport. You threaded Trump lawyer tells New York judge Constitution mandates dismissal of Trump's 34 guilty verdicts. The trouble is that is not true. I mean, oh my God, is it a Minority Report? What movie am I thinking? Can you just go back and can you just erase and say these crimes never happened? That when he was convicted by a jury of his peers?
Steph, when you're a defense attorney, make aggressive arguments, make them vigorously, represent your client zealously. That's what the Constitution requires you to do. But don't make false, baseless arguments. Don't say the Constitution demands or requires dismissal of these guilty verdicts, because it doesn't. And even worse, Steph, his lawyers followed that up with, and the Presidential Transition Act of 1963 requires dismissal of these charges. It has nothing to do with criminal cases or convictions of former presidents. That's like Donald Trump saying, the Presidential Records Act lets me steal all of our nation's most closely guarded secrets. I'm not used to hearing that from lawyers, which is what is so disheartening, because some of these lawyers, Steph, are now going to be high DOJ officials. And I hope guys like Todd Blanche and Emil Bove and John Sauer understand that they will be representing the American people. They will no longer be representing the interests of their former client, the criminal Donald Trump.
Let's end on a sliver of justice. What was the headline yesterday? Rudy Giuliani fights to keep his refrigerator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is true. It's true.
It's a true statement.
Yeah.
Can I keep the refrigerator magnets? Don't take the banana, please. I like the pineapple.
I want to know what's in the freezer.
Okay. So Rudy Giuliani faces contempt bid as he's caught attacking judge in his defamation case. I mean, these guys all think they're going to get the same pass Trump does, right? So he is continuing to defame Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss and the judge, right, during his podcast or whatever it is. So talk to us about this for a sec.
Yeah, it seems like he continues to ignore and violate all court orders directing him to produce all of his assets and turn them over to Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, the two Georgia state election workers who he savagely defamed and frankly endangered their lives. And, there's a remedy for this, Steph. It's contempt. Hold him in contempt, put him in a jail cell until he purges the contempt. See, when we hold somebody in contempt for violating court orders, the judge will say, and I'm giving you the keys to the jail cell. All you have to do is abide by my orders. You will thereby purge your contempt and you can walk out. But we have to apply the dang rule of law to him the way it would be applied to us.
Yeah. Dang is an underused word in my opinion.
I totally agree.
Yeah. What's happening in the dang Trump case in New York? What are we facing? Is there a a date that the judge makes a ruling on whether he's going to delay the sentencing, or what do you think's happening
Yeah,
there?
I think it's December 9 is the next date that is set for Judge Merchan to decide whether he's going to keep moving forward in the case or put it on hold, pause, put a stay in effect, maybe until after Donald Trump leaves office and sentence Donald Trump. Then that is certainly preferable to just dismissing it outright, where accountability will never come.
Yeah. So justice is coming, but we should probably just turn off the engine and wait. We shouldn't leave the motor running for 4 years. But right? Yeah. Okay. All right. We love you, Glenn Kirschner. If you want to see
Love you, Steph.
Glenn Kirschner and all his magnificence, sexyliberal.com.
That's
Pay-per-view, $20 for a bunch of joy and hope and what's going to help us move forward. We love you, Glenn. We'll see you next week.
Love you guys. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirschner wherever you generally get your podcasts.